I feel like the world does a really good job of glamorizing, disrespect or some sort of suffering. And I know that that might be difficult to kind of really digest, but we have never been adequately told what a healthy relationship is, what it feels like, what reciprocity actually is. And let me tell you, it's not just sending messages and texts and flowers and none of that. Yes, that is part of it, that is not all of it. So if you're resonating with this, then you're really going to enjoy this video. So I want to encourage you guys to subscribe, to like the video. It really does help me kind of continue to build this community and continue to talk about topics like this. One of the questions I've been asked recently is my take on relationships, specifically romantic relationships, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. So when you go through your spiritual awakening, it's no surprise that your beliefs, the core of who you are changes, which means a lot of the times you get more crystal clear on the type of partner you want in your life, what your desires are, what you desire to feel, what you desire to create with this person, and even a lot of the habits or patterns that you desire in said partner. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I know somebody out there needs to hear this. True love and healthy relationships are not supposed to feel draining. If you feel like you need to have the same conversation over and over again, and it feels like you're sacrificing a lot of who you are in order to be in that relationship, that is not your person. Trust me when I tell you, when you align with people, with a person that sees you as an equal, that wants to uplift you, you don't have to lower your vibration. And I'm not talking of this in the sense of like, spiritual bypassing in a psychosis way. Like, this person needs to meditate 20 hours a day. No, the reality is you don't need a partner that's exactly like you. You need somebody that is complementary to you and that will help you, basically heal in areas where you can't heal on your own. Because I feel like another one of the biggest things that the spiritual community sold, and it's a lie, is that it's not okay for you to want love or to desire love with somebody outside of yourself, and that it's not okay to be with somebody who's different than you. I'm talking about different but complementary. And there's also another lie that got sold to us that told us that, we need to be perfect in order to receive love, or we need to have all our ish figured out before we receive love. And none of those things are true. None of those things are true. Yes, you heal on your own. There are a lot of things that you need to heal on your own because you cannot place your happiness on another. And at the same time, you guys, the universe created relationship. The mere fact that you are co creating with a universal form lets you know that relationships are so important. So I see a lot of people who are going on their very beginning stages of their spiritual journey and they're avoiding relationships like it's the plague. And the truth is, when you avoid, anytime you avoid something, it's getting you to acknowledge what's inside of you that you are also avoiding, that you don't want to see projected on the outside. That's really what it is. So relationships are a projection. It could be a really great projection. It could be a really negative projection. Either way, it's all leading back to yourself. But I'm here to tell you, when you align with a healthy relationship, with a healthy partner, it's going to feel life-giving. It's going to feel alchemical. It's going to feel like you can be your most authentic self. And even if the person, let's say they're not super spiritually in tune, or let's say they're more analytical, it doesn't mean that it can't work out. Opposites complement each other. There's always in relationships, and I just want to be very clear of this, always in relationships, there is more of a feminine energy and more of a masculine energy. This is regardless of gender, it's the energy behind things. So if you are in the feminine energy, so you're receptive, you're intuitive, you're in tune with your emotions, you're open, you're vulnerable, you're raw, you're honest, that is feminine energy. You're receiving. Masculine energy is the doer, the analysis, the protector, the provider. And I want to talk about providing and protecting, because I also feel like this is also a subject that gets so commercialized and it's full of just a lot of gunk that is not true. Real providership, and real protection is not just physical. It's not just money. It's not just luxury. Those can be components, but real providership is allowing your partner, especially the feminine, to be herself and feel safe expressing her emotions or their emotions with you. That's what masculine energy does, and it protects. And I'm not just talking about physical protection, y'all. Like, I'm talking about spiritual protection. I'm talking about esoteric. When you are a very high vibing being, you attract a lot of unhealed people, a lot of unhealed energy. And it's very important for you to understand and discern who deserves a space in your life versus who doesn't. Not everybody deserves to be saved. That sounds really intense. That is also the truth. Not everybody deserves your compassion, your energy. So you have to be more careful, or I guess discerning, on who you allow access to your energy. And I'm not saying that from a place of fear, by the way, because you guys know we always talk about how you're protected. But at the end of the day, you have your intuition for a reason, and that is to discern versus who's worth your time and who isn't. So the partner that you select, not only do they need to see you in your entirety, but they need to make sure that they're adding value to you and not taking away from you. This isn't you giving and not receiving anything in return, right? This isn't the bare minimum's crumbs. I'm getting crumbed and this is like the whole loaf of bread. No, a lot of people, the truth is, are sitting out there and they're receiving crumbs from somebody. Oh, well, they're texting me. Oh, well, they're calling me. Yeah, because that's the bare minimum. Like, why are we, on a serious note, like, why are we celebrating the bare minimum? Like, like it's this grandiose gesture. It's like, of course, if you want to build a loving relationship with someone, what do? You communicate, you text, you call, you go on dates, you make some sort of commitment. I mean, at least I would hope so. There is what we call ebb and flow in relationships. But the truth is, when you're dating somebody, and it goes back to the provider and protector, especially if you're a very highly intuitive person, you want to be with somebody ideally who provides this space and protects this space for you to be able to be yourself, especially as a highly sensitive person or as an empath. That is the truth. A lot of things are spiritual before physical. So you got to understand, baby, that you will get a lot of attacks. You will get a lot of glares. You will get a lot of energy. So it's important not only for you to have that loving space within yourself, because it starts with you first. I don't want to hear about it in the comments. You guys already know. I believe you have to have those things within yourself. But I think it's important that your partner, you know, amplifies that and also provides that. So a lot of the issues I've had, and I've held myself back from talking about these things because I'm not saying I'm an expert by any means. However, I have navigated the waters of being in very unhealthy, twin flame dynamic relationships that literally almost caused me to die and not be here. So there is a balance to life. And I feel like a lot of us, unfortunately, need to learn from darkness and what we don't want in order to go into that hero's journey of self realization and self actualization and realizing what it is that we do desire out of a partner. Like, wow, maybe I do desire somebody that can meet me there. Doesn't mean that they have to be exactly like me. Actually, I would prefer somebody wasn't exactly like me because I want to be challenged in the best ways and the healthy ways. So, a healthy relationship is one that challenges but also supports. And I think that's the part that a lot of people are missing. And it's very triggering to see that on social media because I'm starting to notice a lot of empaths do attract a lot of narcissists. a lot of covert narcissists, a lot of energy vampires. And it's because a lot of people see the light within us that sometimes we don't see within ourselves. When you have a naturally healing aura, you want to be around people that amplify that healing aura and don't just take away. So, part of healing is understanding reciprocity. Is this person reciprocating what I am giving? Is this person able to meet me there? I don't have to dock myself down to meet this person. They rise above, or we're meeting each other at the same level. If I call, they call. It should feel like alchemy. It shouldn't feel depleting, draining, or like you constantly have to be this sacrificial lamb in order for something to work. And of course, you can apply that to outside relationships, outside of romance. But I'm predominantly talking about romance today, right? Because it's like the number one question. So that is healthy. You know that reciprocity, and reciprocity isn't always physical, you guys. It's not always just calling, texting, or like inviting you out on a date or paying for something nice for you. Like, yeah, that's an aspect of it. But reciprocity can also look like, oh, you held this space for me when I was crying. So I want to hold this space for you because I want to make sure you're doing okay. Oh, I hear you. You don't like this. So I'm going to try my hardest to adjust that behavior because I want what's best for you, for me, and for us. That is reciprocity. So you're not going for a perfect person. You're going for a person that wants to do better and can take accountability. A lot of red flags that I see, that I've seen in the past, in my past relationship, and also in client relationships or even friend relationships, is that a lot of the times that as empaths or highly sensitive people, whatever you want to consider it, we tend to attract people that like us for our potential, or like us for our energy, or like us for our physical, or just the way we make them feel. And that's not the reality of what it takes to be in a relationship with someone that is very highly sensitive. There's a lot of shadow work that needs to be done. There's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of vulnerability, rawness that needs to happen. And unfortunately, the truth is people can only meet you where they've met themselves. So you tend to attract, right, a lot of superficial people or surface level people, or people who maybe don't want to do the work. And then where it triggers your wounds is the wound of needing to prove yourself. Prove yourself to this person because it comes from an inner child wound. Prove that why you're the catch and why this person should stick around and why they should see your value. And that's where you get a lot of that low vibration. This is where a lot of people go from shining to dimming. Because now love doesn't become about reciprocity. It becomes about constantly giving to a never-ending supply. It's like going to a void. So you really do feel like, oh, wow, I'm doing all these things, and it's like they're going unnoticed. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, because I think it's so beautiful when Spirit told me this, is the highest form of love is consideration. It's not about perfection. It's about considering your partner, being considerate, being open, being communicative, being vulnerable, being truthful, being receptive. Because when you come into union, and this is the spiritual side of this conversation, when you come into union with somebody, another body, this is somebody that mingles in your energy field. So yes, you kind of mesh and you become one. That's where the saying comes from. Like there's a little bit of truth in everything, right? Especially within religion. So it's like a sacred marriage, not in the ordinary way, but in the way of like, okay, you're doing this life with people. So there's a karmic contract there. So on a deep soul level, whether consciously, some people are conscious of it, or subconsciously, you are understanding that you came here to help each other elevate. The whole core of it is always to elevate, even if it doesn't feel like it. But when you're in the right relationship, you see, one, how you're compatible, but you also see how opposite you are in a complementary way. So if your partner is very analysis oriented, very methodical, versus you are very maybe artsy, more spiritual, more flow, those things can be very complementary because you can learn, the art person can learn so much from the analytical person, maybe making their dreams more practical, right? So the physical manifestation. Whereas the analytical person can learn a lot from the artsy person, maybe connecting more with their soul and their heart. So when it works, it really can work beautifully. But I feel like a lot of the relationships, the issue happens when one person doesn't want to do the work, right? And I see this all the time in relationships where they've been dating for years, way before they had their awakening. And then now they're awakening and they're kind of like feeling like they're climbing this ladder, and their partner is kind of like not catching up or not wanting to be there. Because let's be honest and let's respect this. Some people don't want to change. They don't want to heal. They don't want to look at their stuff because you guys, it is intense. It's very intense to take a look at these things. And at the same time, not everybody has the ability. Some people have the desire, not the ability. So when selecting a partner, it's very important that that growth is there. It's not perfection, because I also feel like society does a really good job of making you feel like your partner needs to be perfect, and they also need to be, do this and like make you feel this. It's going to be different for everybody because everybody has different pillars of importance in relationships. And if you don't know what pillars of importance are, which I make that up with my clients and it's stuck with me, I always recommend people picking 4 pillars that are very important to them so that they can bring that into relationships. So this could be your non-negotiables. It could be communication, consistency, collaboration, accountability, transparency, truthfulness, vulnerability, whatever that looks like to you. It's the 4 pillars. It takes 4 pillars to build a very strong foundation in numerology. So that's what you want to build with somebody. Is like it's not about going fast. It's about building consistently and building on a stable foundation. Because I know that social media does a really good job of glamorizing, well, if you date for a year, you need to get married or you need to have kids by a set amount. No, don't fall for that. Everybody's different. You're not running out of time. However, what most people need to look at is they need to check in with their relationship, whether you find yourself single, in a situationship, or in an actual relationship. It's understanding that the healthiest relationships promote growth, but they also heal and support. So if it feels like it's very combative all the time and you're having the same conversations, there probably isn't the proper resolution skills for the relationship. So it could be that you're talking about this thing over and over again. It's getting lost in translation. Maybe the person doesn't want to adjust their behavior, or maybe they just don't understand. So you're not in the same, it's like you're speaking different language and not getting each other. So it breeds resentment. And that's why conflict resolution is also very important for relationships. We can talk about it till the cows come home, but can you really understand me and drop in with me and say, you know what? I accept the challenge. Like, I want to become a better person, not for this individual, but for myself, for my future generation, and for this relationship, because I do think this person's worth it. And this is the person I choose to do life and this human journey with. It really is a karmic contract. And to talk about karmic contracts a little bit, a lot of people tend to think that karma is negative. Karma is neither negative or positive. It really just depends what you signed up for and your actions and the choices that you make. Move away from any relationship that is not reciprocal. Move away from any relationship where you are putting the majority of the work and it feels more depleting. Sometimes holding on hurts more than letting go. The next step of your journey might just be letting go so that you can make space for the person that's actually meant to be in your life. So I don't know who needs to hear that. Obviously, I want these videos to always feel very constructive, but I also want to have these honest, raw, real conversations without being censored, because I feel like we don't talk about them nearly enough on social media. And I think it's important. I think this world needs to understand the importance of having a healthy relationship And yes, it starts here first, like you start with yourself, but then eventually, I love the thunder confirming that. But then eventually, you get to have that with another. You get to share that with another. And I think it's important to talk about that. So, whatever side of the fence you find yourself on, if you're single at this time, or you're longing for a relationship, or maybe you are in a partnership and you want confirmation of the health or the standing of it, take this video as confirmation of what healthy is and what it isn't. And I think most importantly, where I'll leave this off is, you know, your heart knows. When you know, you genuinely know, just like when you don't know, you also know. So I hope this video finds you well, makes you feel comfort in your heart, knowing that you're always protected, but at the same time, you have your intuition, you have your voice, you have your inner compass for a reason. If it feels elevating, health. If it feels depleting, unhealthy. And that's okay. You live, you learn, you transmute, you transcend, and you move forward and hope for the best. That's really all there is to it. So, I love you guys. Like I said, there's so much we can talk about and unpack about this. I would love to create more videos, only if you guys are interested, of course. And I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share and holding the space. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like, subscribe, maybe share with a friend, Who knows? Spirit sometimes speaks through these videos. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.